Welcome to the Rewrite Your Story with Tasha Jo podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the vast realm of thoughts, ideas, and conversations that know no bounds. Buckle up and prepare for a wild ride as we venture into uncharted territories and explore the unexplored. On this journey, we leave no stone unturned and no topic untouched. Tune in, fasten your seatbelt, and prepare for a roller coaster ride through the vast expanse of human curiosity. Get ready to be amazed, enlightened, and entertained because on this podcast, there's only one rule. There are no rules. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back. On today's episode, I have guest speaker Lauren Kirkpatrick, also CEO, business owner of Envy Salon. Want to say hi, Lauren?
Hello.
So today we are going to touch on a little bit of everything. Me and Lauren have been friends for how many years now?
Over 20.
Yeah, like 22.
Yeah.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people can say they've had a friendship that long. And Lauren is a hoot. She cracks me up all the time. But today, let's start off with just starting a business, being a business owner.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I'm sure you understand, it's just a leap.
Yeah.
To me, it just felt I had to do it. It's just a leap and a jump, and it's crazy.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it now?
I've done hair for 16 years.
Okay.
And then my business 4 years, going on 5. But
Okay.
yeah, and it's just a wild ride of emotions. I feel like there's good days and there's bad days. You just
Totally. And this was never part of either of our plans.
No, absolutely not.
And your dad was the owner, right? Of his salon?
Yeah.
Still is or no?
No.
Okay.
Like he was for like 40 something years.
And you started working for him, right?
Yeah. I worked with him at his salon, and then I moved to Envy. And yeah, it just felt like all the signs, the universe, everything just was there. Like I remember the previous business owner had talked to me roughly about it, and I was like, yeah, like I've always wanted to. And you would be perfect for this, like to take it over. And I was like really mulling it over, and I was like, I don't know if this is the right decision. And I was walking through Coeur d'Alene, and I stepped on, and I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I stepped on a gold pin because I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, I just don't know. I don't know what the right decision is. And I stuck on this, my foot stepped on this pin, and it was a gold breast cancer ribbon, and it was stuck to the bottom of my foot.
You're
and
like,
I was
sign.
like, this has got to be it. And then I
Yeah.
found like a coin, and it was just like, I have to. Like, I
Yeah.
have to make this decision and jump. And I did. And I
Oh
just,
my gosh, I remember that moment too, where I was like, yep, this is what I meant to do, but how the fuck am I
Yeah.
going to do it?
Yeah.
I had no idea, but I love it. And I have no regrets. I love what I do, and I've got big plans, but I wanted to touch on that because you've loved this journey so far, but recently you've been contemplating a different path, right?
yeah, I've always felt called to help people and I feel like with doing hair, I'm always,
A therapist?
yeah,
Yeah.
And I do feel like I share space for people to be themselves and talk
Mhm.
about things. There's things I know about my clients that no one knows.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And they haven't told anybody. And I always like comment, and I'm like, hey, this is Vegas, man. Whatever happens in this chair, like whatever happens here stays
Yeah.
here, man. I won't say I'm the keeper of your secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I do that part about my job is helping people and making them feel good.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that is my calling. I do feel like I enjoy that aspect
And
of
you're
my
really
job.
good at it too. So that's something I wanted to ask you, is because you've always loved doing hair, which helps people feel better about themselves. And then this last year, you've really dove into your own inner healing, right?
Oh, yeah. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
big
has
time.
that looked like for you?
I think, like, in what aspect?
Just like therapy or workshops? What have you been doing for your healing?
Just, I've gone to therapy a lot. I've dove journaling, meditating, and just I saw this quote the other day, and it says, your ability to grow is directly proportional to how many truths you can see about yourself without running away.
Mm,
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Sitting with those icky feelings of,
absolutely.
okay, why am I this way about myself? And getting to the root core of it without running away. Because so many
Yeah.
people want to just run away.
That's the easier thing to do,
Yeah.
but you've got to face the
Yeah,
darkness.
you have to face it and you have to, and just really leaning into it, which is
Mhm.
so ugly.
Yeah.
And
And not fun, but
n-
so rewarding.
yes, it is. And I think the past year of just leaning into all the icky parts of yourself that and dissecting those out and being like, okay, why? Why am I doing this? Or why do I feel like I need to
Where
do
did
this?
these beliefs come from? And
Yeah, and
yeah.
working through them. And you
Mhm.
work through them. And then once you become comfortable with them, you,
Embrace them.
yeah, they're not like triggers anymore.
Yes.
You're like, okay, it just rolls off your back.
What did you say the last moon circle you had attended? You said something, you're in this new era of, what was your motto?
Unbothered.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I've seen that shift in you. I mean, again, I've known you for over 20 years and just seen that shift this last year and where you're just like unfuckable with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfuckable.
Unfuckable. Yeah.
Unfuckable.
And I'm such a people pleaser and
Used to be.
yes. Yeah. Recovering. But yeah, and it's taken me a really long time to get here. And it's not, and I would always see these people too and be like, yeah, I'm recovering or whatever. It doesn't mean I still don't have bad days.
Absolutely.
Because so many people look at people that are like healed or whatever and they think they never have a bad day ever. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not true. Like you still have your days where you're going to slip up
Yeah.
and you're still going to have your days where you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And
it's okay to not be okay.
or I've also learned like when those days that you have had bad days and you've slipped up and you let someone creep in your life and break your unfuckable with,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, but why? What is this teaching me? And you and I were talking earlier about changing our perspectives. Like,
Yep.
instead of being like, oh my God, like, I'm so terrible. Why did I let this person get to me? Like, just changing.
Recognizing it too. Like, that's one of my favorite parts about this journey is handling a situation and being like, oh, wow, I know, or I remember the old version of Tasha, how she would have thought or how she would have handled it. And it feels so good to just be like, wow, I've came so far.
Yeah. And you have to learn to like clap for yourself and be like, wow, like the old me would have been like distraught.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
and I want to
so-
touch on that next too. Like you say, clap for yourself. Another thing we wanted to talk about was success and being happy for other people. You brought
Yeah.
that up, and I think that's really important. So go ahead and lead on that.
we were just talking earlier about how when someone comes to us and talks about their successes and how both of us are like,
Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
go girl.
Yeah. We're like, yes, do it. Like
Mhm.
our first instinct is to always love that journey for them and support them and be like, okay, like you should do this or that and I was just, it had me thinking like, how much would this world change if people did have that fuck yes energy? And I feel like a lot of people come from a space that they're
Envy.
envy, or social media doesn't help.
Mhm.
It's comparison is the thief of, and if we all came from a space where we were genuinely happy for somebody rather than, I don't want to say greed, but
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. Like, and that's only because it's a projection of what's going on internally for that person, is if it is coming from envy and whatnot.
like your issues within yourself or your self-doubt of your own self. And I feel like how much better of a world would it be if all of us shared that space to be rooting someone on.
100%.
Yeah. Even though the idea sounds crazy to them, like how much, because I'm sure you faced that when you first started this, like,
yeah.
what
And I
you're gonna-
still do. I can pick up on it, feeling people.
Yeah.
You can start feeling and seeing who's genuine and who's not, but learning to not let it affect you. There's going to be people like that, and that's part of their healing journey.
Yeah, exactly. But with that being said, how great would this world be if we just all were like, obviously
on everybody's team, just rooting for everybody, supporting everybody. And that's what Mystic Movement is all about too, and bringing together just as many people as possible. And I've seen a huge shift. I'm sure you have too in your environment, because when you start doing the work, it's a ripple effect, and more people keep coming on board and more people keep coming in, and it's addicting.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to good vibes for sure. I'm Tasha and I'm an addict to good vibes. People always say, you're like the most positive person. And yeah, I am a very optimistic and positive person, but I choose to be. I
Yeah.
like how it makes me feel.
Yeah. And then that's like even the thing too. Like, you can be a positive person and a lot of people look at that and be like, oh, she probably never has a bad day.
Oh, yeah.
But
I have my days.
yeah, we all have our days. Like,
Yeah.
just like the other day we were joking and I was like, it's not my day. You're like, it's not my day either. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's hug under a chicken coop light.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Just
that's right.
admitting
I
it
forgot
and just
about
being
that.
like, yeah, well, not my day. Cool. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
And
Like,
everybody has different types of bad days. I'm not somebody when I have a bad day, like I don't get angry, I don't get pissed off and whatnot, but I'll have off days where I don't feel like being social
Yeah.
or I don't feel like when I choose how to spend those days, I don't want to bring that upon other people. So I'll isolate or do something by myself or surround myself around a good friend that wants to sit through that with me.
And I think, yeah, and that's like with anything, people like who just sharing space, like with
Yeah.
anything, is so powerful to help people on any level.
I think more people need to be aware too. You say holding space and sharing space and whatnot. Think about when somebody wants to dump, asking the person before and saying,
Oh, the
hey,
trauma dump.
I have a lot I need to get out. Do you have the space right now?
Yeah.
And we've gotten really good about that because it is important to ask because that person may not be able to hold that space at that time.
Yeah. Or, yeah, and you're just not mentally there. I
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
do it. Yeah. And that's something I've learned too, or I've become more aware,
Mm-hmm.
like of myself
Yes.
and trauma dumping on some other people. I've become more aware of
Picking and choosing who those people are, you mean?
well,
Or
no, more aware of like myself doing it to other people. Okay. Like other people may not have space for this today.
Mhm.
So what do I really want to keep to myself and who do I want to talk about or like,
Yeah.
and there are some things that you just need to work through on your own,
And
head.
like you touched on journaling, that is the best. I love journaling. I just actually did a journal prompts Instagram post last night
Yeah.
because I was journaling. I'm like, I need to share this with people. Who
Mhm.
knows who needs to hear it? Because I love journaling. I
Yeah.
love writing.
My biggest thing is journaling, like negative thoughts and burning it.
Yep.
It's so powerful. And I always tell people, I'm like, dude, I know it sounds woo, but do it.
I
Like,
love the I'm all here for
I
the
mean,
woo.
yeah, we all know you here for the woo.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, other people's
Yeah.
perspective aren't comfortable with it. And it's way out of their realm, which
Yeah.
is not for you and I, but it feels so cleansing to
Find what
just
works for you, whether it's journaling or meditating. That's another thing, meditating. I am not that person. And I'm sure, I don't know if you are, but you and me are both ADD. So we have been forever. But when I started learning about meditating, sitting there crisscross and silent, that does not work for me. I get so impatient and I can maybe last 5 minutes. So I have found other ways to meditate that work for me.
Girl, you're lucky I'm just sitting here.
Yeah,
not on
I
a
know,
treadmill.
right?
You should- okay, this is your next podcast. Have a treadmill.
Yeah, right? Oh my God, people do that too. I've
know.
seen, yeah.
I know. I always say that they need to do movie theater with treadmills.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
I'd go. I'd go to way more movies.
Yes.
But-
Oh man. Okay, what else? Friendships. I know this last year I feel like has been the year for your healing mostly, right? You've really tapped in. Have your friendships changed?
Mm, no, I don't feel like they've changed. I feel like the core people that I have
Have maybe gotten closer or
yeah, I always feel like I have many people that I call my friends, but I've always said that I have two people.
Oh yeah, no, I
Like,
literally
I mean-
one handful. Those are my ride or dies.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
front row friends is what I call
Yeah.
them. Who are your front row friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've always been my front row friends.
Yeah.
And before going on the subject, I'd always be like, oh, I don't have this core group of like girlies that I like
Yeah.
hang with. But that's okay.
That's more than okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I used to think like that. Be like,
Yes.
oh, which it's okay to not have that. It's okay to have your core little people.
Well,
and-
you and me have always, like, all growing up, we had a large circle of friends. We were friends with everybody. And I feel like over the years, and I love it, that my circle has gotten smaller and smaller. I'd
Yeah.
rather show up. They say it's quality over quantity.
Yep.
And I would rather, of course, I'm friends with everybody, but I like having just my close, tight knit group of friends.
Yeah. I've always I'm very extroverted,
Yeah,
but I'm also very
me too.
introverted. Very introverted. I like just small, intimate little things, hanging out with friends, like one on one.
Yeah.
But I think most of that with our jobs,
Yes.
like we're very social all the
And we're around
time,
people all the time,
people
so we
all the
like
time.
our alone time.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
we go to our house, it's like
Oh, that's how I spent my Friday and Saturday night. I was on my couch with a book and my
I
binder
love
and
that for
just
you.
Friday night, Saturday night. I know,
That
like I'm
sounds
like
amazing.
a year ago or not even, who knows, but like I would have to be doing something,
Mhm.
growing up, my parents were always like, why can't you sit still? Why can't you be like your sister? She'd be in her room playing with Barbies. I'm like, fuck this, out the front door
I'm
and
out.
just
Yeah.
had to be doing something. But I used to feel like I needed to be around people. Now I'm so content because I've really learned to love myself and love who I am. I'm like, I
Yeah.
like hanging out with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
and I think that's really important.
I know. I always love going to a restaurant by myself.
See, I don't do that yet. I don't do
Really?
movies
Oh
or
my
rest, but
God,
I don't even
it's
really
so
go out to
good.
eat or do a lot of that. But that's something I should do. I run errands by myself all the time.
Yeah.
And
Going out to eat is like next level by
really?
yourself. Yes, you have to.
Okay, that's
Because
one I
it's just
have
like
not done.
you don't have to wait on anybody else's order. Like you can
It's
order
just
when you
your
want. It's
time.
your time.
Mm.
Mom's always like, "You're so weird," and I'm like, "It's fine. Love it. I love
See,
eating out
that
by
right
myself."
there, though, that's a perfect example of the programming of people and their fear as they grow up. Like, you're so weird. Yes, I know
Yeah.
your relationship with your mom.
Yeah.
However, I'm talking about growing up, the comments that are made to us.
Yeah.
Then we fear doing those things because of a comment somebody said.
Yeah. But or even you sit there and you're like, okay, should I not be doing that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do think that if you take that time to just go by yourself and you don't have to wait on anybody else, like you can just order when you're done. You don't have to. It's very cleansing.
Oh, yeah. And that's one thing I loved about when I went to Ireland, the people there. Like, we would be sitting there waiting for them to bring us menus, but they operate completely different. You
Oh,
have to
over
go
there.
up
Yeah.
and to ask them for a menu, tell them when you're done, because they just let you do your
Yep.
thing. And it's so calming and
Well,
relaxing.
that's like when I went to Paris. Like there's
Oh, yeah. I forgot you went to Paris.
yeah,
Oh,
in America, we're very like, okay, you have your order, you get your drink, you get your
yep.
check, and then you're
Fast
out, like
paced.
fast paced. But anywhere in that area, like you're hanging. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
people there for like hours.
Oh, yeah. I
And
saw
you're
the difference coming back to the States, like anxiety. Just,
yeah,
I was like, whoa,
get them
fast
in, get them
pace.
out.
Yeah.
But like it's a very different lifestyle. That's like it's an experience. Like you're
Hmm.
really, but I feel like that's that whole area. Like
Oh, for sure.
everywhere over on that side.
And there's certain, around here too, it just depends. But yes, in the States, it's just go phones. And that's something I've really been working on where
I
my
hate
phone. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I hate at restaurants when they have the phone menus.
The phone menu?
Yeah,
Oh, where
that
you
you have to
scan
pull
the QR code?
I
Oh, yeah.
hate
It's just
that.
another reason to
It's
be on.
so
And then they
nasty
just
to me.
opened a restaurant in California where it's like all robots.
Oh,
Like,
no.
yeah, I know. It's
It's
so
so
bad.
nasty to me.
Yeah.
Everybody's on I look around and everybody's got their phone. They're
Every
staring, they're
single
not looking at each other.
person.
I hate the QR code. Can we make it stop?
It should be no
It's just
phones
not
allowed out at the table,
period.
right?
Period.
Yeah.
Carson is like 13 and that's like my one rule. No phones at the table. It just gives everybody this I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they're
The
whatever
quality time of just being present.
yeah, whatever they have on their phone is more important than
Yes.
you. Or even like when I'm checking out my clients and I have to check a message, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not ignoring you. What you're saying is important. I
Yeah.
just have this taking
I
that
do
time
that too. Yeah.
to say that because I feel it when somebody pulls up their phone and
Oh,
like
yeah.
they're like,
Hello, are you
yeah,
listening
I'm
to
like,
me?
hi.
I'm talking to
Yeah.
you. And that's something I am getting better at because it's habit. We're creatures of habit and we're so used to having our phone with us 24/7. But
Mhm.
recently, I've been keeping mine on silent because I don't need to hear it ding
I know.
50 million times a day, especially with my phone number being the business phone number.
Yeah, it goes off all the time.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And I will leave it in a room, go do my thing. And it's, oh my gosh, I've noticed a huge shift.
Yeah. And I don't think people understand how much you're constantly have to be available when you are a business owner. Like
Mhm.
how outside stuff, how many things are constantly like messaging you or
Yes.
it's constant.
And it's not just phone, like texting or phone. It's the emails, it's the
Yep.
Instagram messages, the TikTok, all
Yeah.
of the things. And but I've really learned it's okay. Like I will get to these when I get to them.
Mhm.
Just because I pop open my email and I've got 5 emails I need to respond to, I don't need to do it right then and there.
Yeah.
I'll take care of what I need to do and then go for a walk and sit down and be like, okay, now I'm going to reply.
So
You
when's your best time of sitting down and figuring that out? Are you most productive in the morning?
Oh,
Like
hell no.
yeah. Or is yours like more like evening?
Evening,
Yeah.
for sure. So, and I'm a manifesting generator. What are you in human design again? Do you know?
I'm the fire starter.
Fire starter. Oh gosh, I don't know which one. Generator, manifester?
Manifester.
Manifester. Okay.
Manifester, fire starter.
Okay. We're going to have to pull into your chart again because I've learned so much more about it. But I am a Manny Gen and I'm always doing all the different things and whatnot. But it's all these people say, oh, get up at 5 a.m., start your day. And that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, no, it
Not
doesn't.
everybody is wired that way. I get my energy later in the afternoon and I'm a night owl. That's when I'm productive.
Yeah.
I could not wake up first thing in the morning, record a podcast episode. I'll be like, good morning. And I would not show up fully.
You'd be like, oh, don't know.
Yeah.
I know that's like me with people. They're like, oh, can you make a hair appointment at 8? I'm like, you don't
No.
want me here at 8.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't want to cut your hair at 8 a.m.
You don't want me here at 8. Actually,
Yeah.
I will not be talking to you.
Yes.
But I do think that is like different seasons of your life because like
Absolutely.
when Carson was younger, my most productive, I was not like a 5 a.m. girly, like absolutely not. So
Yeah.
I was like definitely later in the afternoon. But now that I have Abel and both the boys, like me getting up at 5 a.m., 4:45, 5 a.m. is I need that time.
Yeah.
I like need that time.
And that works for you. I did
Now,
that for
it would not-
16 years, getting up
Yeah.
at 4:45 and I was off work by noon and then I had my entire day. And
Yeah.
I love getting up early. I'm telling myself that because I'm trying to learn to love it again. But
Yeah, but
yeah.
even then, like just right now, this season of your life probably just isn't
Yeah.
working for you. Like
Yeah.
you're probably doing things later here
Yep.
and trying to close tabs, a million
Yeah.
tabs.
Yep.
And so it just,
100%.
yeah. And I think that's,
And it changes, like you said, the season that's going on in your life.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. And just being okay with that. Okay, right now, I can't handle that right now. Like,
Yeah.
I have to do this way.
Yeah.
But
And
I
it takes practice too, though, because we can always become better at something. So I can say, oh, I'm not a morning person, but I can say, okay, I'm going to be in bed by 10 because I want to be up at 6 or 7 and whatnot. And I was doing that a couple weeks ago and I was getting better. And then, of course, I fell off because I had a couple late nights where I was up till 2 doing whatever. And so it does take practice too. You can do anything you put your mind to, but listening to your body too, that's another huge thing where it's really going towards the things that feel good to you.
Yeah. And I'm way more productive with my workout if I'm in the morning.
Okay.
If I wait too long at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't have to do it today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, but if,
Just starts the tone of your day.
yeah, but even now I'm realizing like, okay, well, if I do it at noon or 4 or whatever, it's okay.
An
Just 'cause
experiment. If you're somebody who doesn't know what works for you, do something different each day and see which one excited you the most or the day that you felt the best.
yeah, yeah. And that's what I've been doing too, is keeping a log of
Yes.
what has filled me up in the day, who has,
Who depletes me, who energizes me.
yeah.
Yes.
And, yeah, that's been interesting too. I've just started that. So like, I'm
Okay.
not very deep into it, but
You'll see a pattern too. And
Yeah.
you'll see, I love that you're doing that because I literally just wrote that for one of my journal prompts last night was list the people who deplete you, list the people who excite you and bring you satisfaction. That's not just people too, but places, your
Mhm.
environments, and just pay attention. Do a check-in at the end of each night, like a body scan, and go throughout your day. Where were my highs? Where were my lows? Okay, tomorrow I'm going to remove that because that was a low. It's a constant thing to figure out what works for you.
yeah, Carson and Abel, now that he can talk, and we'll do like high-low buffalo at the end of the night for the dinner
yeah.
table.
And how does that go again?
So high is your high of the day. Low is like whatever was your low of the day.
I love that.
And then buffalo is like you can bring up anything you want to talk about.
Oh my
like
God, I love. Where did you come up with that? Is that a
I-
thing? Because I had never heard of it until you had brought it up.
the
But
high-low buffalo.
Yeah.
I think I like read it somewhere. I
Okay.
don't know, but we've been doing it for years, like years
Okay.
and years, as long as I can
love
remember
that.
with Carson. But it's always funny when I've been going through my journals of depleting. My kids are always my highs.
Yeah.
They bring me so much joy. But it's so funny to hear what their like highs are. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
simple. Like
Oh, I bet coming from how old's Carson?
13 and
Abel's.
4 year old, almost
Yeah.
4 year old.
Oh my
But
God.
like, it's so funny to hear just the simplest of things.
That bring them joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it brings me so much perspective.
Absolutely.
And just at the end of the night and like holding and like we've been saying, like holding space for the kids to just say whatever and be like, yeah, this is what really bothered me. I didn't like it, or this is what was
Bring up what happened with Carson. Or what was it? You talked about it at the Moon Circle. He had mentioned something and you worked through the steps with him.
oh, the anxiety ladder.
Yes.
Like yeah. And I've learned that through my therapist and
Yeah, I learned that through, it was like the 7-layer thing through Tony Robbins or something, but explain
yeah.
to people what
Well,
that is.
and it's just I can't remember like specifically what he was worried about, but he was like, yeah, and this. I don't know. I'll say, I'm worried this person's going to be mad at me.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so next step, what if they are mad at you? And he's, I guess they'd be mad at me. And I'm like, okay, then what? And he's like, then they wouldn't talk to me. I'm like, okay, then what? And so we just go down it. And then at the end of it, he's just, I guess it's
Doesn't
just-
even matter.
Yeah. I guess it's
Yes. See, and so you help point that out to him. And so many more people need to do that too, because our minds just, we talked about that at the circle as well. Like we have 30,000 thoughts a day.
That is crazy. I learned that
Yeah.
at the circle. And every time I go to the circle, I come back with so many learning experiences to put towards
Mhm.
my own life.
Hearing other people's stories and their
Well,
experiences. And
yeah, but
stuff.
not even like the knowledge of all the negative thoughts that you have in your brain and
Oh,
the
yeah.
positive thoughts and you had said something like the decisions that we make a day.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I know.
I was like, man, no wonder I'm tired.
I know, right? Our minds are like in overdrive. And I just brought that up yesterday too. At the end of the day, because we think about a million things all day long, but at the end of the day, it's like, how much of that did you put into action?
Mhm.
Oh, I want to do this. I need to do this, da, da, da. But then what all did I even do? I feel tired because I thought about everything I needed to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just reflecting each day and thinking about and feeling good about it. Like, okay, I feel good, but tomorrow I can do better. And yeah, it's a journey and it's a choice. And we choose to show up, we choose to do the work. And a lot of people don't want to go to therapy. They don't want to get the healing or do the inner work. But fuck, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty and
Yeah.
it's ugly, but it's
For a little bit until you get through it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And once you do that, and you come out on the other side of things of being unbothered or yeah, it's a way better place to be.
Mhm. And I just think about too, because I've talked about this before. I used to scream and fight. That was my household growing up. My sister, my mom, the three of us would go at it. I'm sure you witnessed some of our, like, we were just crazy. And then we would separate, go into our rooms and whatnot, and then cool down for 10 minutes and then come out and be like, hey, so what you want to do today? We wouldn't address it. We wouldn't talk about it. It just
Yeah.
kept getting swept under the rug.
Mhm.
And so that's something I've had to work through. And all this work that I've been doing over the years, I haven't fought with anybody in almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't let them get that out of me. I'm like,
Yeah.
nope.
I also feel though too, that's like almost sister relationships too.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's
But
like,
even with ex-boyfriends
Yeah,
or
yeah.
husbands, Brock and I used to fight like crazy too.
but my sister and I, we would fight. And then 10 seconds later, I'd be like, can I borrow your shirt?
Yeah, exactly. So
So-
you stretched out my shirt with your huge boobs. And then, hey, where you want to go?
You still going to have me wear your shoes or
Yeah.
where are we going?
Yeah, 'cause Lauren has a older sister. How many years apart are you guys?
3.
3. And so my sister and I are about 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's that sister relationship
Yeah.
too. But I definitely see where you're coming at. It's like with you just come to a point where you're like, okay, that's weird.
I'm sure you don't argue with your sister, your mom, the way that you used to since this last year of doing. You may still be working through it, but
I see my grandpa's from the South and he's always called me a willow. Like
Mm.
he's like, baby, you're just a willow. And I'm always like easygoing. I've
Yeah.
always been so easygoing. So I don't know. I feel like I don't really argue with people very
Yeah.
much unless it's something that's I know
Yeah,
it's something that I'm not going to tolerate. Then
setting boundaries
Yes,
and
yeah.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like I'm not an argumentative person,
Yeah.
but I feel like definitely the year of my healing, I have become an argumentative person because I'm like, I'm not, which is really uncomfortable for me because I am not that.
Going from being a people pleaser to setting boundaries.
Yeah.
That, and it doesn't have to be where you're arguing, but you're standing
Your
firm.
ground, yeah.
Yes.
But it feels argumentative.
Because people aren't going to like it. They're
Yes.
used to treating you a certain way and being
Yes.
like, whoa, who's this version? Normally she'd be like, okay. Or, and we're like, no, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah. So it feels argumentative, but it's not. Yeah. It's, and in a way you feel like chaotic because you're like, oh my gosh, like there's all these little
If they're
arguments.
not receptive of it.
Yeah. But then slowly it just starts to be like, okay, they're shooting their shot and it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely feel.
And that's where your people in your life change too. They come into your life, come out of your life, because you're going to start surrounding yourself with people who hear you, who respect your boundaries. And when it comes to family, I had to distance myself from my family for a while, and then they came back around. You just got to do what you have to do to protect your peace.
Yeah, that's true. And that's hard to acknowledge that about yourself. Like, I need to do this to protect my peace. And, but it's good for people to do that.
Absolutely. I love constructive criticism. I try and encourage people to have a different perspective when it comes to that, because so many people, it's just automatic to get defensive.
Oh my gosh, but so many people can't take criticism.
Know. Or where you want that, because that's pushing you to become a better version of yourself,
exactly.
Hearing it.
Yeah. Or just be like, okay, just tell me. My grandpa used to be like, don't comfort me. Oh, wait, I don't know. I can't remember the saying, but basically it was like,
because you're not doing me any good. Right?
Yeah. Don't comfort me with, oh my God, I got to say the saying.
I get where you're going with it though, because you're not helping me grow if you're just like, not saving.
Don't comfort me with a lie.
Yes.
Don't comfort me with a lie. Hurt me with the truth.
Yes.
That's what he'd say. Don't comfort me with a lie. Hurt me with the truth. And it was always like,
I love that.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, I'd much rather hurt someone with the truth than comfort them with a lie and being like, oh yeah, that what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
You're not an asshole.
Yeah. No.
I'd much rather be like, no, you're actually being an asshole.
Yeah. And knowing the person who's telling you this too has good intentions, and they care about you.
Intentions. Yeah.
Yeah. Or with the episode with Christina, I don't know if you heard about that, but she had uploaded her very first podcast episode, and she's, oh my God, listen to it. And I listened to it. I was like, oh God,
you're like, you're like,
but that's a good friend because I love her and I support her. And so I had to be, truthful with her. And then she redid it, and it was incredible. I've always been that person that is blunt. I'm honest. And that didn't work very well for me growing up. I got shamed for it. You don't always need to tell people how you feel. And so I was taught that growing up.
But I think that's also like in the same category of what we were talking about earlier of like people being happy for you or happy for your successes or even like going with telling the truth, even though if it's gonna hurt them a little bit. Hey, you shouldn't have really said that.
I would much rather have people hurt me and tell me the truth than lie to me or sugarcoat anything.
Yeah. Like, I would much rather be like, girl, what you got on ain't good.
Yes. And
like,
there may be a second,
like, I really like this
thank
outfit,
you.
But okay.
But I know your intentions and care about me, and it's coming from a good place.
Yeah. But so many people think the criticism, like, they're like thinking that you're, like, coming from like a space where you're like, oh, I don't want you to do good, or I don't want.
Depends on who it's coming from, too.
Yeah. And so there's so many people that can't handle it, or even just saying, okay, not everybody needs to hear that, or
so. No, big time. I love that your grandpa said that. Will you say that one more time? I know you forgot the main part, but the truth and
don't comfort me with a lie, hurt me with the truth.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
He had some good ones.
Yeah, one I remember growing up, my dad would always say, no expectations, no disappointments. That one replays in my head all the time. Don't expect things from people and you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah, lower your expectations. I think that's a huge thing that I've learned too this past year for like healing is lowering your expectations. Because sometimes we have such high expectations of people and they're never going to meet it.
Even ourselves too.
Yes. Yep. 100% of yourself, of other people. And you have to meet people where they're at.
So that brings me to relationships, and not just romantic. It could be friendships, relationships with family members and whatnot. But worry about you. Do what you need to do to make you happy. And I am a perfect example, been married and divorced, engaged. I've been through a roller coaster of relationships. It just comes down to what do I need to do to make me happy? And respect too. If you're asking something of somebody else and you keep coming across the same problem, it's okay, now what do I need to do to adjust?
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to choose yourself. It's
Mhm.
hard to choose yourself because you do get caught up in what about this or that? And
Wanting and hoping that the other person will meet your expectations of what you want in a relationship too,
yeah,
you
yeah, it's
know?
hard to choose yourself. I think with anything, even with friendships or anything, it's hard to choose yourself when things are hurting you and things aren't changing. And
We grew up saying, "Oh, don't be selfish, put other people before yourself," and that's fucking
I
backwards.
think that's just women.
Yeah.
I hate to drop that bomb,
Mhm.
but just like women in general,
Yeah.
it's selfish for you to have self care. A lot of it's mom guilt too,
Yeah.
like taking the time to do these things for
But
yourself.
you have to in order to you've got to fill your tank so you can be there and show up for other people.
Yeah, and that's really hard. Like, that's one thing that I was talking to my therapist about was, like, self-love and, like, how you do that and how you show yourself self-love, and it's yeah, you can do all the things, but it's like, how do you put back the worth within yourself? Y
Yeah. I think it all comes down to balance too, finding that balance between all of it, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
yeah, but that's one thing that for healing too, that's been important is self-love. I think everybody
I think that should be the number one thing that I just brought that up when Julie and I were going for a walk last night is you can want the love, the relationship, the car, the job, but it all comes down to you have got to fully love and accept yourself and find that first. And then all those other things will come.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and or even being happy for other people that they have that and be like, that's their season, that's good, but this is me right now. And just like we were talking earlier, like comparison is the thief of joy. Like,
Mm.
oh, well, they have this great relationship and it's like they have this or they have that. But it's like, we all don't really know,
But
right?
what,
Like,
oh, absolutely. Especially with social media,
yeah,
we're all reflections and mirrors to each other.
yeah. And like manifesting it,
Yes.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was getting my nails done the other day and I just recently went to Hawaii and the trip got canceled before. And I was like, yeah, I'm not worried about it because I'm gonna go. And they're like, oh, I wish I could manifest a trip to
Oh
Hawaii.
my God,
And
I love it.
I was like, I'm going.
Yeah,
Like
because you
I was
literally
like,
told me on Friday or Thursday,
yeah.
I'm going to Hawaii tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, what? It
Yeah.
was like so last
Yeah.
minute.
But I was like, I'm not worried about it because I like at first I was upset, but then I was like, no, I'm gonna go. Like, I'll go. And I just put it out there and it was like, yeah, it happened. But manifesting thing and that's one thing that I've learned is
We're
like
manifesting
4 7.
24/7. Our words are
Oh yeah.
casting spells
So
all the
powerful.
time.
Yes, 100%. It's crazy how powerful they can become. And I've tried to change my perspective on, I think the last circle was like changing your perspective of your words of,
Hmm.
and one, the card I pulled was like, um, I'm not enough.
Yeah.
And the perspective to that was, what if I'm enough? And it's like just doing little things like that.
It's that little shift. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if it does?
Yeah, and, like,
Yeah.
even that, like, doing that all the time, switching, it's o opened so many doors and
And that's
possibilities
so
that
good that you're aware of it and paying attention. I just listened to one of Mel Robbins' recent podcast episodes. I love listening to all of her episodes, but she was talking about synchronicities and signs. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is my jam. This is my episode. And she talked about how, yeah, we're manifesting all the time, but state it and claim it. And that was such a good reminder to me where it's like, she named an example of being in line at the grocery store and it's all backed up. And in your head, you're like, man, I wish another line would open up. And then a line opens up.
Mhm.
Now claim it. Thank you, universe, because
Oh,
you're
that's really good,
manifesting
yeah.
and then you're acknowledging that,
Came through, yeah.
yeah, and don't overthink it. And oh, that's a coincidence. No, if you start paying attention to all the things that you're thinking or speaking about, whether, oh, I never find a parking spot. Yeah, I've witnessed this with so many people. They
Mhm.
never do, where I always find a parking spot because I go into it like, oh, I'm going to find the best parking spot. So pay attention to patterns in your life, reoccurring things that you're constantly telling yourself that are working and then aren't working.
I think it's like I saw one thing, or I can't remember where I read it, but it was like, if you're constantly saying, "Oh, I never see red cars." You'll
Oh,
see
yeah.
red cars all day.
Mhm.
Or, "Oh, I never see white cars." Like, it's your brain will rewire itself to do that, you
It's
know?
called I learned this
I
in
know, I
my
can't.
MBA academy, the RAS, the reticular activating system.
Yeah.
And they brought that up, and you can Google it. Mel Robbins actually did a YouTube video on it, and there's so many videos on it. But yeah, like you state something, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's everywhere.
Mhm.
So your brain, you can literally, it's, the bouncer at a club. Think of your brain. Like, who are you allowing in and who aren't you? Or when it comes to thoughts, too, like,
Yeah,
what
that's
all are
so
you allowing
important.
in and
Yeah.
what aren't you?
Yeah, I think we all need to be bouncer.
Yeah.
Have club bouncer energy.
Yes,
Like
that just goes with our energy field too, protect your energy, protect your peace. And who are you giving access to your energy that you're working so hard at? You're doing all this healing. And that goes for being intimate and sexual as well. Like, why are you out there just sleeping with whoever? Because you're taking in their energy and you're giving yours out. And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
I am all this golden, sparkly light, and this shit I ain't handing this out. You know what I mean? This is gold.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think we need to be, like, more bouncer energy and be like with a negative thought and be like, "You don't have your ID.
Yeah,
Outta here."
yes. And there's little tips and tricks that anybody can do. And that's why I'm so passionate about attending the workshops, and I host the full moon circles. And I love hearing when everybody shares
Yeah,
how they handle things, and everybody learns something from them.
and
And
you've gone to so many of them, and
mm-hmm,
you host so many of them,
mm-hmm,
but from an outsider perspective,
yeah.
like, they are so healing, and I'm
Mm,
so
thank you.
glad you have the space for people that they, because it's all things we're all kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And even there's been some times where I've gone to the circle and someone has shared something and I've been like, "Wow, I would have never even thought that you were going through something like
Right.
that."
You never know what anybody's going
Or
through,
even like takeaways. Like, I've had so many takeaways
where you
from,
can relate something in your life to what somebody said. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, or takeaways to foster into my own life.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
to foster in my life and new practices. And I feel like that has just been like the next level
Yeah.
of having those, because I don't know, most people, there's probably some listening that have gone to the circles, but
Oh, they better be
yeah, they
listening.
better be listening. But yeah, it's just the beginning is all these questions, and they're hard. They're hard.
Yeah,
A
they
lot of
make
them are
you
hard.
sometimes I switch it up each time, but
No, but I like that. I
yeah,
like that they're hard.
it pushes you to really think,
Yeah, because I feel like I've never been good at people who are like, "What's your favorite color?"
Yeah,
Or
yeah, me neither.
"What's your favorite memory?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't know." Like,
Yeah. But when you really are forced to sit there
sit.
and think about it, and that's why I used to I'm guilty of I used to just whip up some questions and then be like, "Okay, what am I gonna do tonight?" But I'm like, I need this to work for me. I
Mhm.
want the experience of the healing too. So I really each time, what's going on astrologically? How's the energy
Well,
in
and
the
I like that
collective
you
now?
attend them too.
Absolutely. I don't just host them, I go to
Yeah,
the
I
other
like
ones
that
as
you
well.
attend them too, because
Mhm.
that says a lot too, which I know you're probably like, "Duh," but I'm
No, because I used to not. I used to even be like, oh man, I have to host a circle tonight, where my
Mhm.
last episode, I get to.
That's what I
That's
was
been a game changer for me. I get to attend these other workshops. I get to have these healing sessions with these different practitioners.
yeah, and that has been sitting down and looking at these questions, and I go to these circles, and
And there's such a vibe too. It's
they're such a
cozy
vibe.
and
They're such a vibe. But
yes.
I go to these circles too, and I pull the tarots, and it always blows my mind every time.
Oh, yeah, because at the circles, I'll include a worksheet, and then everybody will pull a tarot card or an oracle card. And I think that's my favorite part, where everybody's, oh my
Oh,
God.
mind blown every
Yes,
time.
because it's energy, man.
Every time. And it's like, and just feeling the cards on what you're called to, because I always put my hand over it and I'm like, okay, this one feels right. And
Yeah,
it's always resonating. And everybody has this, and
there's no right or wrong way with tarot. There's no right or wrong way to pick a crystal. It's all energy. It's
yeah,
intuitively what you're drawn
yeah.
to.
And I've heard people like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah, you got the skeptics
the
and
haters will
haters
say,
gonna hate.
the haters gonna say, but they're like, oh, everybody has that card, or it's meant, and it's no, like, just,
Tarot's probably one of my favorite. That's what got me excited when I started learning what tarot cards were. I
yeah,
was
because
like,
you sat down and,
whoa.
yeah, and you sat down, and, or even I'll pull mine at home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it always blows me away because it's so significant on what is happening um, or going on. It's like just to the point.
Yeah. You know how many times I get messages? I have a couple friends, like just last night, somebody DM me and was like, hey, can you pull me a card? And I was out walking the bridges. I was like, oh, I'm not at home, but I will when I get home. And I'll just literally sit there and channel their energy, pull a card. I don't read it unless, they
Hmm.
give me permission to, but I'll take a picture of it and send it. And then just the messages I get back, oh my God, you have no idea how much I need to hear that. So again, if you're new to tarot cards, there is no right or wrong. Just go Barnes and Noble. Oh man, that's my favorite. They have a full aisle. Just sit there, browse through them, whatever you're drawn to. And,
I
and
think even me, like me getting my own tarot
what
read.
deck do you have? Oh, do you have a deck?
Yeah.
What deck
I
do
have
you
the
have?
moon deck.
Oh, the Moonology?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
But I think just getting yours done.
Oh yeah. You can pull your own cards, but yes, I have some incredible tarot readers
Yeah.
like Alex
Yeah.
where they
Yeah. And I hosted this Galentine's party
Oh,
and
that's
she
right.
came and it was like everyone was just blown away. And I'm like, see? But at first, when I was like, yeah, there's gonna be a tarot card.
People who don't know.
Yeah. They were like,
Yeah.
oh, that's cool. But then they got it done and they're like, oh my God, I can't even believe it. And
Yeah.
it's pretty powerful.
That actually was the first thing when I started my spiritual journey. I just went out to a psychic out in Belfair
Yes, I remember her.
with some
I
girlfriends,
remember
and
her.
I was doing it. Okay, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
And I remember my jaw was dropped, and that's what started everything for
God,
me. Like
what was her name?
Loretta.
Yes, Loretta. And I remember us going
Oh yeah,
and
I would take everybody out there. You
well,
have to come out
yeah,
here.
and I went to her and it was insane. Insane. And that's what kicked me on my journey too. But it was so funny because I was expecting this witchy
Right?
lady to come
Yeah.
out of her door. And she comes walking out and she's our age.
Yeah, she was
Super
only a
cute.
couple
Like,
years older.
and I was like, wait. Just changed
Mm-hmm.
my perspective of what I thought I knew. And I was like,
Yes.
whoa, okay.
I'm telling you, all the things, like whether it's having a mediumship appointment, a Reiki appointment, tarot, push yourself, just try new things because you never know what that one thing is that's going to ignite something in you. Or look at Mystic now,
Mhm.
location 3, all because I went to a tarot reader and I was like, what is this? This
But
is
I
a
think
whole new thing,
Yeah, but I think that kinda, like, channels you into, like, a hamster wheel where you're like, "Okay, this is gonna go into this and this." You'll start healing yourself, and then
Yeah.
you start noticing other things and that need to change, and, like, giving energy to people on being successful and
Yeah.
sharing, like, being proud of them, and
Yeah.
it just starts this whole new process for you.
Oh, my life is so different ever since I started this journey. I didn't, I, j- I've said it, I said it in my first episode that I ever recorded. I don't even know what I used to do besides party and what did I talk about? I didn't have anything I was passionate about. And now it's just, I'm a knowledge junkie. I'm addicted to learning. I
I
go down
think you're
rabbit
definitely a
holes.
reborn.
Yeah,
You are reborn,
absolutely.
100% reborn, because I
Yeah.
think that yeah, that was your past, but do you ever think that person's dead? Like,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I don't even know.
Yeah, you're reborn in a way.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
something, before we close out, I don't even know how long we've been going, but I'm glad you brought that up because something I've wanted to talk about in one of my podcast episodes was my incident when I was 17.
Mm,
And I'm sure you remember that.
yeah.
So when I was 17, and that's where I've gone on this healing journey, digging in because I don't remember my childhood. I don't really remember anything before that moment.
Mhm.
And so when I was 17, and I used to not want to talk about this because I'm like, oh, that's not who I am today. People are going to, but now I'm so comfortable talking about it. So when I was 17, I took a whole bottle of Tylenol, 80 Tylenol, and I went to sleep. So it was in my system overnight. And the next morning I woke up and my mom came in and call it mother's intuition. She knew,
Yeah.
she's like, Tosh, what's going on? And I pointed over to the cabinet and she opened it and she's, I'll be right back, called 911. Anyways, long story short, I went to the hospital and my liver was shot. You could only imagine Tylenol, 80 of them in my system. And so I was in the hospital for a week. And the only memory I really have from that is looking over at my mom, my dad, my sister, and the nurse, and they all started crying because the doctor had told them, hey, you should start preparing to say goodbye. Like she's not
Mhm.
going to make it. Her enzymes are, I forget if it was too low or too high or whatever, but it was the opposite. And Then out of nowhere, just it was like a miracle. Boom, they spiked and I was good.
Mhm.
And over the years, since I started my spiritual journey, I've been asking healers and whatnot, like, why don't I remember? And it was about 2 years ago, the gal was like, let's go into meditation and ask your guides. And she didn't know about this incident. All I
Mhm.
asked was, why don't I remember my childhood? And she goes, that's weird. I see you in a hospital bed. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly what she's talking
Mhm.
about. She goes, interesting. And there's this light being standing right next to you. It's Archangel Michael. And his light and he went inside your body. And I was like,
Oh, that's
whoa.
crazy.
And I was like, so does that mean like I'm still me? Did I die? And was I reborn?
Yeah.
I've had these questions.
Mhm.
And then, so I've had these incidents over the last couple of years. And it was this last year. Did you ever watch the show Wednesday?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Not yeah.
Okay. So I love that show. It was so good. There was an episode, the very last episode, where the little girl is dying and she's laying there. And then her spirit guide or angel was next to her. And she was like, okay, you're never going to see me again if I do this, but I can save you. And she went inside her body. And I'm just watching this show and whatnot. And all of a sudden, my whole body started fucking vibrating intense. And then I have tears coming down my cheeks. And I'm like, what the hell? I just knew in that moment confirmation.
Mm.
That was spirit saying, hello, yes, this is what happened to you.
Yeah.
And so it's, one of those things where you can dig and try and make sense of things and stuff, but I know that's what happened. And maybe there's a reason because they can say, oh, trauma is why you don't remember your childhood and whatnot. But I also had
Or
that
like
happen.
dissociation.
Dissociation. Yes, that word.
No.
So it's just one of those things that, yeah, we can be reborn several times.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was the appropriate time to bring that up. And if anybody has had any experiences like that and whatnot, I used to be obsessed with it, trying to dig in and that happened. And I've had spirit communicate with me in different ways. Like I was meant to be here. That wasn't my time to go. And I had a bigger purpose and whatnot. And it's weird to talk about because I'm like, what that is not me. I love life. I would
Yeah.
never do that. But then,
But that's even like showing like what we were talking earlier, like, seasons of your life. Like someone just even my whole cancer stuff. I thought
by
like
the way, congrats. Today is
yeah,
11 years,
11
right?
years,
Yeah.
yep. But like I at the time I was like, "Oh my God, I feel so terrible." Like I feel awful. And I really worked during that time to be positive. And I just was like, this isn't going to be my life forever.
Yeah.
This is not going to be my life forever. This is not going to be
My current situation is
yeah,
temporary.
this is just going to be a season in my life
Mhm.
and it's just going to be temporary and I'm going to move on and I'm going to have like better times ahead.
And it's happening for me and not to me.
Yeah,
One of my
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
I think that's you look at it that way too. That was just that little season to teach you something.
Yeah.
Because so many people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you," and
And
whatever.
victim mentality
Yeah,
and
but I'm
whatnot.
like,
Yeah.
I hate to say, I don't want to say I'm glad it happened to
No,
me,
but yeah,
but
I am
like,
too.
but and I'm sure you do too. Now
Yeah.
I always feel like the universe gave me like rose-colored frames to look through because I look at life completely
So
differently now.
differently. Yeah.
Like completely differently now. Like things just aren't the same. So
Sometimes there's that one thing that happens or that one experience or that one person that just changes
everything.
everything. And I
Mhm.
do believe that was definitely part of my journey. And then losing my brother, I had the hardest time saying this because it sounds fucked up, but it's the truth. I know my brother's passing was part of the plan
Mhm.
and meant to open the door for me to do what I'm doing to help and save so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all in my chart. It's out there, but I couldn't go around saying, yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's truth though.
yeah, and you and I have been friends for so long.
Yeah.
I remember you going through
Yes.
this and I remember sitting with you at your old house and you'd be like, "Look, I have this coming through." And I remember looking down and being, "Whoa, you're meant for something
Yes.
out of this world. Like you're meant for something big is coming."
Yeah.
And you're like, "I know this is crazy." And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
whatever it will be like." But see, that's even what we're talking about. Like people in your corner and being
Rooting you on and oops,
yeah.
sorry, I thought that was on silent. Yes, rooting you on and just being there and supporting you. And yeah, your tribe, that's one of the most, your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Having a tribe, a solid tribe is just whether it's one person, two people, 10 people, that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you were saying with your brother's passing, I think that was something that just pushed you. I think you always knew deep down that was something that you
Mm-hmm.
needed or wanted to do, but it
Yeah.
just pushed you into this. And he had so many things like calling to you
Oh, yeah. I
and
mean, he
came through
still
on so
comes
many, yeah,
through and gives me signs and
which is awesome.
yeah.
And so that was just pushed you to that whole
Yeah.
thing.
And
So
it is scary. Like Lauren and I will both admit, fear is a real thing, but that's where you need to lean in is whatever scares you
yeah,
and
yep,
terrifies the shit out of you.
you got to do
That's
it.
where you got to go.
I
Get
know.
comfortable being uncomfortable. And hey, I say this all the time, but I'm still guilty of it too. There's still things that scare me and I'm not there yet, but I'm still actively pushing towards those things.
Yeah.
Baby steps, even
Yeah.
if it's one toe, whatever, you just make those little steps.
Yeah. And just make the jump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on, and congrats again on 11 years.
I know, it's crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
And another 10 years is going to go by
I know.
before you know it. And I just got chills just being present and having so much gratitude for the people in your life and the good friendships and that you have a job and a home and just there's so much to be grateful for. And I am so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you. I love you.
I love you. So hopefully you'll come on for some future episodes because
Yeah,
Lauren and I
if
can
you'll
talk
have me.
all the things. Absolutely. And we will see you all soon.